Alright guys, let's check out the tasks for the performance evaluation. So first up, show me your folder, explain how it's organized, and point out all .song, .wav, and .jpeg files. So let's take a look at my own. So open up my Professor Jump folder. Notice that I have 3 subdirectories. Inside the Studio One folder, I have these .song files, Studio One song file types. And then I have some screen captures in the images folder. And then in the audio folder, I have this .wav. You can also have .mp3 style of files. Just make sure that you have some sort of organization system, that it's not a chaos pocket. All right, so let's look at the next question. Set up a new project in Studio One and save the song properly. All right, this is an important step. So I'm going to open up Studio One. All right, we're going to start a new song. I'm going to name it. And I'm going to place it in my file folder. Let's call this test 2. Then here's the directory access. Hit the ellipses, go to the desktop, find my folder, go to the Studio One folder, select it, save it. All right, that's a very important step. It helps you organize the many files created by audio production. All right, next up, add 2 tracks, one for drum machine, one for bass instrument. All right, so if you don't have it open already, open up the browser, go to the instruments, and add the Impact drum machine. Grab a drum set. And then grab some instrument that makes bass sounds like the Mai Tai or the Presence. I'm going to go with the Mai Tai. I've been having a good time playing around with this 80s funk bass. All right, so I have a drum set and I have a bass. All right, next up, sequence a 1 measure drum beat without using a MIDI controller. And then duplicate the measure 4 times. All right, so here's the drum set. Here's the first measure. Remember to double click to get an event. Open up the editor corresponding to that new event and add some music. I'm going to make my quantized level 1/8 notes so it's nice and simple. I'm going to put a kick drum on 1. I'm going to put a snare drum on 2, another kick drum on 3, snare drum on 4, and then I'm going to make the hi-hat go all the way across. Just put in 1, press the letter D is the easiest way to do it. Notice that I'm not going to go 1 further. I'm not going to trespass into measure 2. And I'll make it impossible to metrically sequence your music. Alright, so close the editor. Now up here in the arranger, I'm going to make that happen several times just by highlighting it and pressing duplicate. There we go. How about 8 times? Maybe I'll take a quick timeout to encapsulate my music with the loop bracket in case I need to do any editing with the forever loop. Okay. Alright, so 4 or 8 times. Then prepare a new instrument on a new track, record a bass or drum figure. I'm going to go with a bass figure since I already did the drums. With the MIDI controller, select the resulting MIDI data and quantize it to the tempo map. And then duplicate that the appropriate number of times to match up with the previous sequence. Okay, here we go. So this guy is enabled. I'm going to bring up my virtual MIDI controller. I'm going to find some bass sounds. There we go. There's some bass. I have the metronome activated. I can hear the drum beat that I made. I'm going to return to 0. And I'm going to press record. Here comes the music. Alright, just sequencing something nice and straightforward. Alright, doesn't have to be Mozart. Alright, then I'll close my MIDI controller, And I'll open up in the editor the music that I just sequenced. And there it is. Of course, I'm a little bit off the grid there, so I'm going to highlight everything. And then hit the giant Q to quantize. You can choose the quantize value. 8th note, 16th note, 32nd note, quarter note, half note, whole note. I'm going to go with 8th note because that was my intent. It's highlighted. There's the 8th note. Here's the apply button. Remember, here's the apply button. Remember this last step. Watch the MIDI data wiggle into position. There we go. I'm going to take a quick time out to click that peak off because that's the next step anyways. All right, so now I have my drum and bass music. Maybe just make this the same length. I'm going to put on the forever loop and maybe turn off this metronome, and I can disable the recording feature. I'm going to bring up the mixer and I'm going to do this last step. All right, balance your mix, being sure to avoid peaks. So that's step one. Let the music play and look at those peaks coming to ruin my mix. I'm going to make some common sense amplitude adjustments until the peaks stop happening and I'm content with the balance. Bass and the drum set sounds nice. All right, looks pretty good. The peaks have stayed away. The music will just keep looping because of the blue loop bracket in this tool here. All right, last step, apply limiter. Increase it to between -14 and -11 RMS. And then last, monitor your track with the level meter and determine its amplitude as measured by LUFS. Should be around the same level as the RMS. Let's take a look at this last step. All right, so here I am. Watch the giant yellow mouse. Here's the main channel. Here's the insert word, and next to it is a down arrow and a plus sign. Do not use the down arrow. No down arrow, plus sign. Insert, plus sign. Insert, plus sign. It opens up Presonus's bank of plugins. I can either search for the limiter or I can scroll down alphabetically. There it is, limiter. Put in a ceiling. -1 is a good place to start if you want to do some extreme volume maximizing, or -0.3 is a more transparent type of limiting. In any case, here's my RMS. Looks like it's around -24. Go ahead and push this gain knob, watching the RMS as it floats towards around -12 is what I found gives me good correspondence to this range. All right, there I am. A little bit of the talk to the hand meter is activated. The limiter is a compressor after all. All right, and then I'm going to go back to that insert plus sign on my main channel. I'm going to find the device known as the level meter. I might extend this across the screen here so it's easy to look at. All right, options up here, top right hand corner. This is first step, EBR128, European Broadcast Union, LUFS, not LU, LUFS, and perhaps hit reset a couple times, and here's your number. It looks like I'm right where I should be. Maybe a little bit of room to push, not much. Return to my level meter, hit reset. All right, I'm in business.